So what I share is not about belief. It's not about dropping one belief and picking up another one. It's about seeing through belief with direct experience. No great leader or master of anything is somebody who has the correct belief. It's somebody who has mastered something through experience. So I've been doing my job 10 years. I wouldn't say I'm the best at it, but I'm pretty good. It's muscle memory. And they say it takes about 7 years or 10,000 hours of doing something repeatedly to master it. So I'm in the master category. It would have been impossible to think or believe or read or study my way there. What was needed was real physical action, and most of that action was failure. It was failing. That's the part of our brains that are so fantastic, the reticular activating system. Something like that is what it's called. And it is the part where when you fail at something, it remembers. Your brain stores the memory of that failure and decides, that's not the way this works. Let's try something else. So you won't fail in the same way again, but you will fail in a different way again. So then you try again. For me at my job, it was a physical action. I would do something else, and man, I failed hundreds, thousands of ways, different ways, until my brain stored all of that memory to the point where there wasn't many more ways to fail. So it's just repeated failure over and over and over until you reach a point where you have developed mastery over something. There's no other way to do it. You just have to fall on your face over and over and over. And now with spirituality, it's even maybe even harder because it's internal. It's less physical and harder to explain and harder to define what is success or failure until you get to a place where you just kind of have learned all the ways that don't work. All that to say, it's not a belief. I don't have a view one way or the other. I have people assume that I do have a view one way or the other, but I mean, I wouldn't even really consider myself in non-duality, although I use that hashtag because people that talk about that stuff, it resonates, and part of my process seems to be in that category. But if you have a belief in something, you have to defend that belief. You have to fight for it. And it's so exhausting. And you see it in people who don't have mastery. So somebody who was doing my job that was new, and they believe they're good at it, and they're not. They will create all of these scenarios in their head, all these beliefs about how they're good at it, and then if somebody tells them, hey, you're not really good at this, then they'll get mad and they'll argue and they'll fight. Belief clouds clear vision. I'm using my job as an example, but because it's easier to explain because it's a physical action. But this also relates to internal energies and spiritual activities. I don't have anything against anyone else's belief. I think in some of the comments, that's what people think. Because I was raised Christian, I talk about that a lot. And I'm not hurt by Christians. I don't have anything against anybody of any other religion. I think everybody is at the exact place that they need to be, and that's perfectly fine. I speak from my own experience. of struggling in a belief system, not with people or with organizations. It doesn't bother me anymore. I pinpoint the belief structure in a particular religion or in anything, or a job, or a stance, or on anybody's identity. What I'm trying to explain in these videos is just let the beliefs die. Be whoever you are. It doesn't matter. The freedom of who you are comes out when your beliefs die, when the beliefs go to rest in the grave where they belong. The freedom that comes when you have to stop defending and fighting and believing is profound. It is wonderful. And then you can speak about it very openly like I do, and other people might take it wrongly or get offended because they're still in belief, which then I have to see that and then make a choice what I want to do with that, whether I want to try to explain myself, whether I want to let it go. And oftentimes there's nothing you can do about it. You can just share your own experience and people will fight you or they will not. Here's an example of something that happened to me on this note, where I was unable to explain myself. So I worked at a fast-paced restaurant at one point. It was just, you'd like throw the food on the table and run back and get more. It was just super quick. It was super quick. And at that time in my life, my stepdad had this funny, goofy, forced laugh he would do that was so fake sounding that it was hilarious. So he would fake laugh and then we would start laughing because it was so funny. It sounded so dumb. Now, here I am working at this restaurant and I pass this table. I didn't see who was sitting there. And I hear this laugh behind me that was so similar that it got me. It made me think of my stepdad and his goofiness, and I just started laughing out loud. Here's the problem. I turn around, and his entire family at this table is glaring at me so strong that it hit me. I turn around, and everyone's looking at me like, you absolute jerk. And I couldn't figure out what happened for a split second, and then I look, and the person that the laughter came from was special needs. Now, my intention, my reaction, was in no way to make fun of this person. I didn't even see them. It was completely pure. I was laughing because the sound of it reminded me of my stepdad's laugh. What are the odds? So here this whole family just thinks that I laughed at their special needs son. And it does appear that happened. So I'm looking at them, they're looking at me, there's this awkward moment of silence, and my brain just did not compute. In a split second, I just knew there was no way I would ever be able to explain myself out of this situation. No matter what I say, I'm going to be wrong. It's going to look like I'm trying to make an excuse or, whatever. There was just absolutely no way to fix their perception of what happened. And I realized that. So after I stood there for a moment, completely silent, realizing that this is unfixable, I just turned around and walked off with no explanation. I just had to let that table of people hate me because it was just the easiest option. Oh, gosh. That's an unfortunate scenario. But eventually you get to that place where you know your intentions. You know it's true for you. You know your experience. I know I wasn't laughing at him because he was special needs. And there's nothing I can do about their perception of what happened. And that's okay. You just gotta let it go. Now, if I had this belief that I'm a good person and people shouldn't view me that way, I would struggle with that forever until I dropped that belief. Eventually, your direct experience and the truth that is showing up in your life and readjusting what's happening inside of you takes more importance and precedence than what anybody else, how anyone else sees it or comments on it or believes is happening. What matters is what you know is happening, what you are feeling in every moment, and taking things as they come up and dealing with them as you would deal with them. Now, on the path to truth, you will fail. Not that there's actually anything to fail, but in your mind, as long as you have beliefs, you will keep failing until you reach a place where you realize, well, not only do you fail less according to your own standards, but you'll reach a place where there is no belief in failure at all. There is just what is happening, what is being learned, what is being dropped, what is being experienced, what is being picked up. And then you start to see everything in life as just this grand dance of perception. And everybody's experiencing the dance differently. But when you have no beliefs about how the dance is supposed to look, then you're free. I guess that's the main point. Experience will always outweigh belief. A true experience is so much richer. If I learn something, I just have to repeat what I learned. If I experience something, I can relay it or teach it or explain it in a million different ways, depending on who I'm talking to and how I'm speaking and what the situation calls for. Because it was a real experience that I can then interpret how I want with whomever I'm speaking to. If I learn something, I just have to relay the information I learned. It's limited. Experience is unlimited. The less beliefs that I have, the more I see through, the more I drop, the more I have real experience. That's probably enough. I gotta go to work.